Health Alert is brought to you by OU Physicians in Tulsa. Hello, welcome to Health Alert. I'm Pam Butler. Today we're going to talk about influenza, and joining me is Janice Sheehan. She's the manager of communicable disease at the Tulsa Health Department. Welcome, Janice.
Thank you.
I'll tell people now, if they hear a little sort of frog in my voice, I'm getting over laryngitis, so if I blurb out just a moment, just say I didn't hear you, and then I'll say it again.
Okay.
Let's start by talking about influenza in general. How serious of a condition and how much does it affect the U.S. population?
Just as an average thing, every year we have about 200,000 hospitalizations from influenza and the complications thereof, and there's about 36,000 deaths every year from flu.
Okay, and when we say those 36,000, because we will sort of make some distinctions a little bit later,
Right.
that has typically been what we call seasonal flu.
Right. That's what, since we've been tracking the last many years, it's the seasonal flu. We haven't had anything in a good number of years except what we're expecting to have, seasonal flu.
Okay, now let me talk about, and we'll get back to the other things with flu, the health department's role, because your role here in Tulsa is similar to other health departments throughout the country, throughout the nation. What is your focus in terms of what does the health department do in relation to influenza and surveillance and those kinds of things?
Okay. Well, the health department's overall role for anything is to keep the community healthy. And especially, though, in influenza and communicable diseases, we do, of course, the main thing we'd like to do is prevention, so nobody gets sick. But then we do surveillance through a system that we have, our own system here in Tulsa County. And then we follow CDC's surveillance system to see what the effects are, how much illness is in the community, and so that helps us prepare to know what we need to do.
Okay, now in relation to that, because we can have illnesses, of course, that can be confirmed illnesses, and then we have those that maybe people are just reporting, but they're not confirmed. How does the health department look at that distinction, or do you?
Well, no. For this particular season, what we're doing is looking at, there are confirmed cases of the new novel virus, the H1N1. However, they don't always, on the rapid test that we do, that doesn't always show up on that. So if they have influenza-like illnesses, then we're treating it as such. We're treating it as the novel virus.
Okay.
Because that's what's prevalent. In fact, all the cases that have been cultured thus far, 99% of them are the novel virus.
Okay, and then as we begin to move into the season of seasonal flu.
Right. Well, we expect, of course, we're going to see a mix of both.
Right.
And everyone won't be cultured. That would, right now, the only ones that they're culturing are people that are hospitalized.
Okay.
And things like that, more serious.
Okay, and we will talk a little bit later about the treatment of them in terms of treating them, as far as medically speaking, pretty much the same. Let's talk a little bit then about influenza in general. What is influenza? So people that may not know, some people may think it's a bacteria, a virus. You clarify for us.
Okay. Well, influenza is a virus. So, and the main thing that tells us is that antibiotics do not work on viruses. Okay. So that's why it's very, very, very important for people to get their shot, so they don't get the flu to begin with, because then once you do have a virus, as you know, what you do is treat the symptoms. Now, we do have antiviral medications that we use, and that is one of the recommendations, is to start those quickly on anyone that's diagnosed with the flu.
Okay, now with the antiviral medications, those have to be started within like usually 24 to 48 hours in order to be helpful?
Yes, we want to start them within 48 hours. However, with the new novel virus, we have a little caveat to that, and the FDA has given us an emergency order that we can use the antivirals even if it's been over 48 hours. Okay. Because of the population that this new novel virus is infecting, the very young, 25 and younger, and then of course anyone that has chronic illnesses that would compromise their immune system. Okay. But it's, you know, the younger you are, the less immune system development that you have, and then as you get older, then it starts to wane after that. Okay. So we are, and again, that is the doctor's decision. These antivirals have to be obtained from a doctor, And there's not something you can just buy over the counter. So if you get sick, you have the flu symptoms, you certainly need to call your doctor and then see which door he wants you to come in if they have a different entrance. And some of them do. They don't want you sitting in the, which makes very good sense to me, in the general waiting room.
Right, right. Now with these antivirals, then, like you're saying, with the new novel virus, the H1N1, there's been sort of an extension of time. You can give it after 48 hours if the physician thinks that's necessary. What does it really do? Some people think that it maybe will take away all of your symptoms, or just does it shorten the duration of the symptoms?
Right. Well, what it does, it helps lessen the severity of the virus. It doesn't take your symptoms away. It just helps living through it a lot better. You're not as sick. You get over it usually a little bit sooner than you would, and hopefully it will keep it from progressing into other things, which other complications. So the more that you can prevent your immune system from being compromised, then the more you have to fight the virus with.
Okay, now let me ask this question, because people may think, if you're around someone who has flu-like symptoms, are you going to for sure get the flu?
No. You're not for sure going to get the flu,
okay.
But that's one of the things that you want to guard against this flu season, is to stay away from people that are sick. Don't let them come over. I know people that will go visiting when they're sick, and that is just so foreign to me. But anyway, if you're someone at work, offer them a box of Kleenexes, so when they're sneezing and coughing, if they'll use 5 or 6 Kleenexes over their nose and mouth, that's a pretty good barrier.
Okay.
And then they need to get rid of those into a trash receptacle and wash their hands. I would advise all offices, schools, any place, even your own home, have as much hand cleanser around. Make it convenient. We have it in the clinic now. When people walk in, it's there. All they have to do is put their hands into there. It automatically comes out. And so anytime you touch something that is a common object that everybody else touches, then go wash your hands, or if water and soap isn't available, then use the alcohol-based cleansers.
Right, and they need to be at least that 60% alcohol-based. And that's a good point, because sometimes people don't think about the telephone. We're using telephones, we share ink pens, the computer keyboards,
the doorknobs,
at the grocery store, pushing the baskets. There are a number of things that we just don't think about that actually have a lot of these kinds of germs on them. And they can live for a certain length of time on a surface. They don't live forever, but they can live a certain period of time, like 2 to 8 hours for the influenza virus. And if you're in that window, then and you're touching and then touching your eyes or rubbing your nose or your mouth.
Keep your hands away from your face. That's another one of the recommendations that we have.
All right, now let's talk about, I tell you what, let's take a quick break. I think I'm on break time. Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, I want to focus on what are the symptoms that people should look at to consider whether this could be maybe flu, or maybe it's an allergy, or maybe it's a cold.
Okay.
Okay, so stay with me, and you stay with us. We'll be right back.